That was totally my fault. Hi, Orc. Everybody else was not muted, just me. So anyway, as I was saying, welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Tavern. I am very excited about the group that we have here tonight, and we have a few people who stayed up very late. Yes, Orc, pro streams. That's how we roll around here. I cannot do this stream without screwing up one thing, and so I'm glad that was all it was tonight, was just that I kept myself muted. So I'm going to have everybody go around and introduce themselves real quick so you can all meet our amazing guests, and I'm going to start with Tony.
Hey everybody, shared experience. How's it going? I know you folks. Love you guys, close friends. Man, I'm happy to be here. Luna, it's been a while since I don't even know how long it's been since I was on your show. It's been a couple months at least.
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Tony, Dice Barbarian on the Twitters. I got a Dice Barbarian RP on Facebook for our Facebook page. If you want to go on that, I post all my stuff I work on there. Doing a lot of work with Dice Tyrants. Do we plug the whole thing now, or does that come later, Luna?
You can plug the whole thing now if you want to.
Oh, well, buckle up, folks. I mean, get your pencil and paper out, and let's get going. No, just kidding. It's not that. No, I wish I was that cool. I'm with the Dice Tyrants. Good friends of shared experience. We're all just a big community, a global TTRPG community. I on Saturday nights with Amanda. Yeah, you guys know her.
Yeah.
She's the thing, she's here, a good friend, and she's with me over there at Dice Tyrants. We do a Tomb of Annihilation homebrew game. Also, Ateris, the Savage Worlds Ateris podcast is coming back in March. We've been on a break there, so our GM can really lock down a few things. Also, starting next Sunday, so a week from today, after a year of development, the Ascended, Savage Worlds Ascended campaign actually kicks off. It is our pseudo-futuristic cyberpunk superheroes Savage Worlds game, world I wrote and created, and Dice Tyrants, James at Dice Tyrants has taken on the role of GM and has just built the world from there in amazing ways. We got a kick-ass cast that's coming in for that. I cannot wait for that to happen. I'm telling you, we're going to blow your minds. So if you like superheroes and you like cyberpunk, well, we got both of them right there in everything you need. So, come check that out. But that's me. I'm Tony. Love you guys.
Tony is always super busy, so yeah, definitely give him a follow. He's always got stuff going on. Next, we're going to head over to Luke.
Hello, I'm Luke. I'm English, as you may have heard. I am the Dungeon Master for Eat, Crit and Survive, my own homebrew D&D game that is myself and a bunch of friends. We've been playing together for about 5 years now, 5th edition D&D. We have gone through one whole campaign that got from 1 to 20. We're now most of the way through this one. We had our 100th episode on New Year's Day, which we were very surprised we managed to A, get to 100, because I keep trying to kill them, and B, that we got it on New Year's Day. It was quite a nice coincidence. We got homebrew world with heavy influences of Greek and Norse mythology in there, so you get quite a lot of good fun in there. You can check me out. Luke M. Pickles is my Twitter handle. You can go see me and at Eat Crit Survive. And we've got our Twitch channel, Eat Crit Survive, and it's uploaded onto YouTube as well. Playing Friday nights at 7:15-ish. I say ish because we say we'll go live, and no one's always there, which is always the thing. But PM 7:15 PM GMT, and come check us out.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being willing to stay up late so you could hang out with us tonight. I'm excited to get to chat a little bit. Also, I think it's really hilarious that Wolfsblood dropped your information in chat, and we have a partnership with Critical Hit Cookies. So the name of your campaign, Eat, Crit, and Survive, came up, and then immediately followed with an auto post about our Critical Hit Cookies partnership. So
accidental subtle plugs. It's fun.
Yeah. So there you go. So if you need to feed your adventuring party, you can order cookies from them. But I don't know if they ship to
Tempting.
England. So
They might be a bit stale.
might be.
By the time they cross the sea.
Yeah. And next we're gonna go over to RP Davis, Bob.
Hello, everyone. I don't have a stream to plug.
That's
but,
okay.
I'm a game writer, independent game writer and designer. I me, myself, and I, the tiny publishing house called Tavern Games. You'll find links for all that stuff. We're on DriveThruRPG. We have our own website. I say we, it's me and a bunch of freelancers. But we, last year, were very proud to be the first people to release a complete new game based on Chaosium's basic role-playing OGL. That's called Toxandria. You can find that on our site and right through our RPG store. We do a bunch of different things too, primarily system and setting neutral resources, locations, that sort of thing for GMs to drop into their campaigns. And we also do a bunch of 5e stuff because it's the elephant in the room. Who could ignore it? And right now, the thing we're excited about, we're working on 2 big projects. One is a new 5e setting that we're designing to use only the free basic rules from Wizard's website. So it's going to be pulling a lot of different threads from the old school sort of gaming and making that sort of experience for 5th edition Meyer. That's going to be coming in 2021. And I got bored a couple of weeks ago, so I started working on a rules light D6 only fantasy game that because I see all the things come up for Zine Quest, and of course I have nothing. So I used that as inspiration to get started on something that, if I was ready for Zine Quest, would be on Kickstarter now.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for coming to hang out and share all of your links with us and everything. So I'm looking forward to learning a little more about what you have to offer for games and things that you've done. Taylor,
Glad to be here.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. This is not my first rodeo. So I'm Taylor, and this is my giant pop filter. We don't always fit together in a video hole, but we try really hard. I've been told that I need this giant pop filter, so ask my editor if you have questions about it.
Well, you sound great.
Thanks, I better. This thing is the size of my actual head.
I can see that, yeah.
But it happens to be because I'm Cleo DeCap, a human bear. If you want to know what that means, you should listen to Backwater Bastards. That's my podcast. Surprise! I think that's probably not something that you've ever heard about before on this show, a podcast. It's like, I'm probably the only person that's ever brought that here.
We've actually had quite a few podcasters on.
What?
Yeah.
There's more of us?
There
I
are.
don't believe it.
But you're the only ones called Backwater
news.
Bastards.
We are, for now. You never know. The
It's
internet's
true.
a big place.
It
But
is.
that's us, Backwater Bastards. We are a homebrew setting based on our DM Dick's own system called Orbital Refuse. But we do use D20s, so don't freak out. It's not that weird. It's extremely roleplay based, so we are a comedy improv show. Not to be confused with people who are smart enough to follow really complex rules. But if you want to laugh and you don't have anybody in your house that can't hear the F word, come hang out.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys are on my to listen to list, but my commute
It's pretty
got
wild.
shortened quite a bit over the last year. So
I can relate to that.
weird how that works. And next we're gonna head up to Jack, the Tea Crusader himself.
Hi. So yeah, second time on this, I think.
Yeah.
I think. I know it's the second time. That was a stupid thing to say. Hi, I'm Jack. I'm also T Crusader or T Crusading. I'm also British. And I'm also up very late. Hooray!
Yeah.
Not particularly unusual because I am a technically full-time tabletop RPG designer, and by that I mean I'm unemployed and I'm making RPGs while I'm unemployed. Hooray! It's going alright actually. So I'm the lead designer for Cobblepath Games. We're a small two-person outfit. Me and my friend Steph, who is the lead writer. We've recently released our horror game Locus, which is like our flagship title. Sort of built to be scary. We worked on it for like 7 years, I think now, technically, on and off. So we just released it digitally. We kickstarted it back in August. And we're going to be running a one-shot story for it on Kickstarter for Zine Quest in like 2 weeks, I hope. And then we've got another game coming probably in April now called Coffee and Chaos, which is incredibly different. It is not horror, it is a comedy game, and it's incredibly rules-light, whereas I would describe Locus as mid-rules weight. It's not crunchy, but I wouldn't say it's rules-light.
It's not Pathfinder by any means.
No.
I just got my copy of Locust. I was one of the backers on Kickstarter for that. And then I also was able to get a sneak peek at Coffee and Chaos a few months ago, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I am very excited for that one.
I'm so glad you like them.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, yeah, so that'll be great. Just a reminder to chat if you've never come and hung out with us before. We take all of our questions from chat, so please feel free to drop your questions in chat. We have moderators who will make sure that they get to me, and you also there's a channel point redemption that can be used up to 3 times every night in total. Once per person, up to 3 times during the night. That's called Ask My Question Next. That will automatically bump your question up to be the next one asked. Right now we don't have any questions in the queue, so now's a great time to get some in. But we're going to get started with my absolute favorite question to ask people when they come on, because I have a very, very strong feeling about this, but I always like to know how other people feel. Do your dice have to match?
I think it very much depends on what you're doing. I think I have sets of dice that I use when I'm DMing, and they are my DM dice. That is the dice that I use, and I've got 3 sets of them. And then I have one which is different coloured gemstones that I specifically bought because they were different colour. I think in terms of if you've got the same dice of a set, then that's fine. But given how many dice I have to throw at any one time, it's a bit impractical to go, yes, I will have 26 sets of the same dice from one company because I like that card. So I get bored of it very quickly. You might as well have a bunch of different sets, and then you just go, well, you've not killed any NPCs today. Go over there.
I might be the odd one.
Yeah, I match all my dice.
You match all yours?
I don't.
You don't? We get a very mixed
Couldn't be
group
bothered.
every week, so some people are like,
I actually match. I match my dice, and then I try to match my dice tray. Like, I have issues. Like,
Whoa.
I admit it. I'm cool. I'm cool
Wow.
with like over accessorizing like crazy my play. But I'm easy because I don't DM anymore. I hung up my DM boots, maybe to pick them back up later on. So as a player, I don't know if it's easy is the right word, but if you're only playing like 3 or 4 games, then like it's not that hard to budget wise to do that, I guess.
Back into the 4 times when you could still play in person, I used to play at a game store at an aquarium full of D20s, and they were 50 cents
Oh,
each.
nice.
oh,
I
wow.
knew that it had a rule: if you roll below 10 3 times, you're out. So if like one of my would roll below 10 3 times, I would whip it across the room, and the Magic players knew that they could go over and get it for a life counter. I'd get off my ass because I would go in there and I would put like $5 on the counter, and I would say, "That's my tab. I'll be back."
That's
D20s
awesome.
would betray me. I would go and I'd wave at the guy behind the counter and fish out a new D20 just at random out of the aquarium. And so yeah, the only set that I have remaining is the one that I bought when I started playing AD&D in 1986. I have that set. My wife has a set that she loves, but me, I couldn't care less.
I just took a tab of how many sets I own right now. I own 18 sets of dice with 2 more sets on order. So I may have a little bit of a problem. But like Tony, not so much
your
my...
problem,
Go ahead.
The problem is you don't have enough dice.
Well, that's just it.
That's the problem.
So,
catch them all.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're like Pokemon in my book. Unlike Tony having to match them with a tray, though, mine have to. They don't have to match, but some of them match actually with the case that they're in. So, like this one,
my.
yeah, this set matches this case. Totally inadvertently, actually. That was a complete accident. And so now
Heathen in his bags. His bags of dice. Heathen, get out.
No, this is
Other all D6s.
They're for people who back.
I love it.
So I'm just showing off.
Oh,
I freaking love it.
They're all D6s. That's fine.
Vertrox Nightblood says Diceaholics Anonymous.
Still uses a Crown Royal bag?
I
I have to be the only one here who still uses a Crown Royal bag.
I just got these, actually. I won these on a Twitter giveaway, and like I'm contemplating.
Those are pretty.
The camera's not picking them up very well. They're actually like a dark purple. They look more blue, it looks like, on my camera, but they're really purple. There's a good picture of them on Twitter. Anyway, I like that they're in a nice foam case because they don't rattle around. However, I'm really upset about the fact that the D20 is off center. That really bothers me. So now I'm like, do I have to get another case for them, or
yes.
That's just my neurosis coming through. So
it's gonna hurt forever.
You need 2
The
cases.
only dice I'm really addicted to, I'm thankful that it's this one. It's level up dice, because that means I have to restrain myself because they're so bloody expensive. I got my wife a set of Malachite for her birthday a couple of years ago.
That's nice.
And I'm a poor game designer. I can't afford that stuff. If I could buy them with a count credit on DriveThruRPG, I'd be awash. These stone dice, and I would have no money at all. But anyway, I love their stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I was at PAX East. It was the very last convention of 2020 last year. And it literally happened the weekend right before the universe shut down. And they had Level Up Dice always has this massive booth there. And I was like this close to picking out a set of dice for a friend of mine. And then I finally was like, all right, these are the ones I'm going to get. And then I made the mistake of asking the price, and they were $175. And I went, my friend, I love you very much. I am not buying you $175 dice.
Oh, yeah. I made her a special padded dice tray that she can use, because she's like, I can't roll these just on the table. It's like, no, you can't.
Nope.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, we've had a few questions come in already, so let's dive in. Nekola the Druid would like to know, what would your character or favorite NPC for Forever DMs get their Valentine for Valentine's Day?
So my favourite NPC that I have currently through the campaign is a air genie called Gundamir that the party rescued. And Gundamir is a little bit, he's like that Salah in Frozen, who big sort of blowout. He's very fabulous. He's going on. He, unfortunately, during the adventures with the party, he's had one of his arms removed. It's very unfortunate. I think his backstory is hilariously tragic. And when he was asked about it by the party, it made them all quite sad. He was trapped in a ring of djinn summoning because the wizard who was trying to trap his partner into that ring, he got in the way and he got into it. When he came out of the ring, he was and he found that his partner had moved on and gotten on with someone else. So I think Gundamir has spent quite a lot of time, because Infinite Power, itty bitty living space, has spent so much of his time just baking. So he would just bake a strudel or something fabulous like that, and just that would be his gift to his partner when given the chance to.
So my main, the only character I've currently got, I guess, that's actually in a relationship is married to a troll. Ish. I think they're married. It's difficult to tell. With trolls. He put the keystone from her bridge in his bridge, which I think and the character thinks means they're now married. He'd probably get her something sculpted out of stone, possibly. She'd definitely get him something like that. That he maybe a statue. I don't know. He'd think about it much longer than I am, and he'd fret about it constantly. So he'd probably just miss Valentine's Day.
No, I don't. My character doesn't have a Valentine, because that's kind of the life when you're a, space mercenary, I guess. You're not often seeing people since you're, living on a ship, harassing the people that you live with on a day-to-day basis, and, generally running from the long arm of the law. But Cleo prioritizes food and explosives. So, those
as
are
one
things.
should.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of...
It's funny, that's my priority too.
Yeah,
Shopping
It's
lists are
funny.
interesting, but
It's funny how that kind of bleeds through sometimes. The things you deeply love sort of come through in your characters. I would really like it if somebody would bring me a giant cheesecake right now, so maybe that's what I'll bring you.
and some
Made of
TNT,
Yes, but-
you know.
Yeah,
A
I mean,
thermal
Why is the
detonator and-
cheesecake ticking?
because that's my love.
How did you know me so well?
It's a
That's
candle.
the
It's
sound
not a
of my
fuse.
admiration. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So little gunpowder, little pizza,
Yeah.
something like that. Quiet night alone.
Love it. Love it. Gunpowder, cheap
I
pizza,
don't
and
think
chill.
mine
I
is
love
anywhere
it.
near
It's
as
great.
funny. I don't think mine is anywhere near as funny because mine is an NPC that I'm running in the only game I'm really running right now. But she's the head of one of the factions in the setting, and really, with her and the head of another faction, it's really a line in winter. See, I know things wholesale from other sources. So the only thing that they get for each other is surprises. And surprises could be, a nice candlelit dinner, or it could be, hey, see that guy? That's an assassin. They've been at each other's throats for literally decades. And yes, they have several children, each of whom is eager to supplant them. And yeah, it's definitely a lion in winter. It's one of my favorite films and plays. So why not this from it wholesale?
I
Why
like
not?
it.
Yeah.
How many times were the children the surprise? They go away for 9 months and they come back and go, here you go.
Surprise! It happens.
I don't know. Okay, so out of the ones I'm playing, okay, I'll give you this one. Orion, doesn't have a Valentine, but Orion doesn't he'd probably give a Valentine to everybody in the group. He'd be like, I really don't know how this works, but you get a Valentine and you get some candy and I'll give you a hug and I don't know, whatever that guy wants. And so that's probably how Orion would be. And then Leonidas, okay, he's from our Terrace podcast, big ass 8 foot tall lion man. He's a Lacosian, Roxashian if you're a Savage Worlds fan. And he actually has a loved one. Long story, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. He had to leave. I can't give anything away. Anyways, he's in love with somebody back home, this lioness back home, and and he would probably like, I don't know, go break something and give it to her. Like he just go rip down like a
Love that.
pretty sconch. He just I'm gonna give her this, and he just went over and grabbed it to rip it out of the wall and took it to her. And that would be his version of a Valentine at some broken piece of nice rubble or something, and he thinks he'd score with that. So
I love that.
that's all I get. Yeah.
Yeah, Evie. So Evie and Orion actually were in the same campaign for a while, so that's our characters know each other. And Evie, like Orion, would probably do the same thing. She would probably be like, I got you a card, and I got you a card. Like, she just likes everybody in the party, pretty much. So she would probably be like the one who would be like hand-drawing cards by candlelight after everybody goes to bed, and like coloring in the hearts really carefully. And, and this is news to some, Evie did have a Valentine who was lost when her village was raided, which is part of why she's in the city that they are visiting. So her significant other was killed in the raid, so she probably also would be a little sad on Valentine's Day. But yeah, so sneaky news for anybody who watches that stream.
Noted.
Yeah,
that will go in my log.
there you go. All right, let's see. Sanctum Cosplays would like to know, how do you feel about PvP?
Never.
It generally sucks.
Yeah?
Out of my table for that reason.
I'm yet to see a game that actually does it well. Like, most of them just sort of say, oh yeah, like, characters statted, just like, roll against each other, it'll be fine. But they're not made for it. And I think something I've been musing over for a game that I am in development, but probably won't happen this year, is the idea that if you put players against each other innately, like full on against each other, it kind of ends up becoming a bit too tactical, which means you end up with something that becomes a little bit too board gamey. Like, you lose a lot of the mechanics take center stage in a way that kind of pulls away from the roleplay a lot, because the mechanics are deciding the outcome of this thing, this sort of like combat, and if you give players the tools to decide it by giving them a complicated mechanical set to do PvP with, then they're now playing a strategy game. They're not playing roleplay. And I think that
Take it out of the meta.
Yeah, like you just end up with this situation where everybody's way too invested in the rules because it's about winning now. And generally, role plays that have winning as a thing, I don't know, in my opinion, they tend to be weaker than role plays that are just about the journey and the story and telling a story. You can do it, but I'm yet to see one that does it, because most of them don't focus on it, and the ones that have characters and you can ostensibly PvP just don't tend to work because they're not built to do it. Like, the classes aren't balanced to fight each other in D&D, for example. They're balanced to work together to fight monsters, which is a very different thing. Yeah, I wouldn't do it unless it was like a fun, no-death tournament arc sort of thing, maybe. But like,
I've done it for a one-shot where everyone agrees to it, and you're bringing it. You're fully invested in the meta, and it's all about the battle royale.
Yeah,
it can be fun.
Yeah,
it happens at the table in a session. I've never seen that end well because it's always a euphemism for some player versus player, not character versus character conflict that needs to be talked out like adults.
Yeah.
I think there are, as I said, there are circumstances for it which are useful, like particularly if you isolate it. But I think then that leads on to, what if you want to do a rival party? Because that is essentially PvP, but it's not your players going against each other. It's them against the game master or the dungeon master. So you are building characters to fight against each other. I mean, I've done it. I've had rival parties pop up in campaigns quite a few times, and it's either gone one way or the other, and it's kind of been nice as a sort of a role play, bit of banter between the two groups, and then a measure of your ability against this other group of heroes that are out in the world.
As an observation about that specific thing, I think in terms of game balance and character, that because as someone else said, the balance thing goes out the window with characters as opposed to monsters, because it's the GM running the other party. The GM can't be as fully cognizant of everything these other characters can do, unless you're infinitely smarter than I am. You'll lose track of all this different cool stuff. So the players it's still weighted toward the players, and not, even if it's another, same level, same everything, I think.
I think you've also got the factor that, generally speaking, a GM is not going to be fighting for their, like, the characters aren't necessarily going to be like having to win in a way that like a player character has to win, because if I don't win, I lose my character. Whereas if you've got a bunch of NPCs, yeah, sure, you probably do want to keep them. And I do know that some GMs do like to put that challenge to players, but I think generally speaking, if you, like, most GMs know that if they start like sort of absolutely caning the players and the players are not having a good time with it, they'll pump the brakes a bit and pull it back, which when you've got player versus player, that doesn't happen because they both really want to win. Like, I mean, I've been in situations where we've had a bit of it in our Scion game, but it's always been sort of very roleplay heavy, and Scion's got lots of powers, and it's always been about like we've never been trying to kill each other. There's always been like just sort of like disabling one another, which we all have lots of stuff to do with, and usually there's like one character who just does not want to be actually doing the fight as well. So yeah,
that's what I was gonna say is there's players like I know a lot of people that I play with wouldn't even want to engage in it because not either like someone just said that it's a player versus player working out their BS differences like children. At this other side of that is the other people don't want to play against their fellow players because they care about them, like in the real, like there's actual, like they don't want to go to that level. And I think the only one that I've ever really seen pull it off on camera is, of course, Critical Role does a couple of those every once in a while just for fun. They just do like a battle royale that means absolutely nothing and everybody's having fun with it. And then like sometimes a couple people will team up and they do silly stuff, you know. That if you can do that, like it's just like maybe a charity stream, or even if you're not on camera, just for fun, you get the beer out or whatever it is and just go at it just for funsies, like someone said. I think that can be cool as long as the DM and everybody knows that there's not like some, because you kind of know when people have issues with each other. Like you sit at a table like for those of us who stream literally weekly with the same group, and it's not just the on-camera time, like all of the time in between we're talking in chat and all the other stuff we do. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know that there's issues between people if there's issues between people. So like if you're in that pseudo thing, you're just kind of like, you know, maybe it's a no-go until everybody gets stuff worked out. But if you have a feeling everybody's like 100% on the level, you could probably do that for like a charity stream or just like for fun. And it might be a blast, especially if it's complete silliness, you know, and I would be for that. But in a game, I would 100% just stare away from it as a player. I would just be like, nope, I'm not picking sides. I'm not getting in this. If y'all want to act silly, you go do your thing, and I'll sit over here and my character will drink while you guys entertain yourself is probably how I would handle it.
I mean, we're pretty wild, but even we don't roll on each other.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's you know, we're big on as wild as we have ever gotten. I mean, we're pretty big on the yes and always. So we're constantly trying to build a thing together, all of us, all the time. And if it gets, you know, we don't want to harm each other. But that being said, I did have to roll initiative on my party last week for the first time ever. But it was not to kill. if you can believe that, it was because the entire party was under the psychic control of an outside entity, and they were going to harm themselves. And I was the only one that was sober, so I had to stop it, and that's like my only skill. So,
And it can be fun in story
like
terms.
It can
Taylor, I
happen
love what you're saying.
when you least expect it.
I love what you're saying there, because it
That's
reminds me of that episode of Firefly, or name any episode of
Yes.
Firefly, do something about Jane.
Yeah,
You
it was a
know,
lot
yeah,
like
that
yeah,
that.
was-
yeah. Yep.
knocked him out, and he
Great
shoots the guy,
episode.
and he's laying on the gantry. I was aiming for his head.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. They were trying to leave the ship, and we can't have
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
right? That makes sense.
Actually, that has reminded me of one of the things I have done where it has been PvP, where the entirety of the arc was that the whole situation was that villagers from a place have been disappearing for a few days and then have come back for no reason that anyone can really discern. It's all left in. So the party goes off to investigate, and they go to the guy's house, who's been the guy who runs the town. He's gone missing at some point, and he's come back. They go to look around his house, and it attacks them. It's a house mimic, and it eats them. Which then brings them down to this town where basically they've duplicated the town above and below, and it's a bunch of doppelgangers have been taking over, and they've been substituting themselves in. And two of my experienced players of that group had their characters subbed in for doppelgangers.
okay.
So, for mechanics purposes and for story purposes, it was an interesting experiment to see how the other players would react to these newbies turning up. And it ended poorly because one of the experienced players forgot about concentration and went, I'm going to go invisible and run away from the barbarian. Casted a concentration spell, immediately it became visible, so the barbarian cut it to pieces.
Whoops.
But it was an interesting experiment because for the players that were turning on the party, they knew they had no stakes in it. Apart from one who wanted his character to die anyway. So it didn't really matter. But for the new players, it was kind of a case of, oh god, what are we doing? We know what they can do. We've got to put them down quickly. And it was an interesting tactical experiment.
I was looking at chat too. There was a conversation going on between Nekola and Vertrox Nightblood, discussing the fact that there has been PvP going on between some of their characters in their campaign right now.
Yeah, in
yeah.
a big way.
Yep.
They're doing a gladiator situation right now,
Yeah.
if I believe.
Yeah,
I'm
so they were saying the first time was something they all decided just to do during a party. The last time they had drugs that they took that were driving them crazy. But then Nekola went on to clarify that it's all consenting and they do non-lethal damage. So it's kind of a running theme that the party argues a lot because they come from very different backgrounds, but they're really good friends. So, but she also noted that the most important thing is that all the players are consenting to
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
involved
Exactly.
in PvP. So
That is the key.
Yeah.
We'll try.
That's a group
anything
I'd run
twice
with.
if we talk about it first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a group I would totally roll dice with. That it's very important that we talk about it because they get this thing like, especially on camera, you know, don't be scripted, don't plan anything out as the group. Everything needs to be as organic as possible. Sure, granted, absolutely, I buy into that. I get it. I support it. I fight for it. But
Yeah.
you still need to talk to your team. If you're a DM or a player comes up and is like, I have an idea, you got to talk to your team and be like, okay, guys, I know you because I'm your DM. I think this might trigger some people, however you talk to your people. And this is what I'm thinking about doing, or something like this. What do you think that would be like? And to get that consent, because the worst thing you want to do is take away that player kind of, I don't know, chance to say no, because it's really hard, like, especially on camera. Like, it's one thing if you're all drinking beers and you're in the house, you're just chilling, and then you're probably talking shit to each other anyways, because I mean that's just your friends, right? That's what we do, eating, just having fun. But you're on camera and your DM drops something on you guys, and it's like you as a player, you're like, do I really want to get involved in this? And then you're like, do I really want to be that person that stops the show because is this really that important to me?
That's hard.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then you have to stay true to yourself, and always you are your only advocate kind of, or your biggest advocate kind of thing. So stick up for yourself.
You gotta stop it if you feel weird. It's important.
Yeah. If you feel weird, stop it.
You'll make your.
But you gotta talk to your people.
Stuff that you don't want them to do, and then you'll feel bad later.
Yep. Yeah. So talk to your people, talk to your group. Like, you gotta have that open communication before you do anything, because, and I think this falls in that line. Like, it sounds like that group's got their stuff together because they all obviously talked about it in depth before it even went into it. So that's cool. That's cool that's happening out there.
Yeah, that is cool. All right, let's see. We have a couple of, we have a lot more. We have a lot of questions that have come in tonight. So, next one comes from Ray Mayhem. What is your favorite house rule from your game or another DM that you've played with? Or
maximize crits.
Yeah. I was going to say, I suppose, too, if you're a forever DM, what's the favorite house rule you've created?
Maximize crits. I'm totally behind that. I always mess it up when I try to describe it, but it's basically whatever the weapon is, you do that much damage, then you roll the weapon die again, and then you add your bonuses. And I
did that before. Sorry, go.
I remember that from Next, I think.
Yeah.
I don't Raw in 5e, but I remember it from Next, and it makes no sense that probability dictates that a barbarian with a great axe rolling a crit can do less damage than a wizard with a quarter staff making a regular hit. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, there you are.
Yeah,
I've had that. Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I've had the experience playing with a DM who used that maximized critting rule, and it works for some things. I think in some things it really skews the balance quite off in quite a long way. I have my wizard who was flying around. He cast Steel Wind Strike, which is, if people aren't aware, it's a spell that they basically teleport around, stabbing things, and if they hit, they do, I think it's 60-10 worth of damage. So, and it's a 5th level spell. I critted on the bad guy and basically one-shotted him because it was 60 plus what I rolled.
Yeah.
So in certain aspects, with a weapon, absolutely, it makes absolute sense. But I think with spells, and if you do it as a blanket rule for everything, you can end up with very skewed balance, because there's no way that wizard would just sort of appear and just go, ha-ha, stab, goodbye, and then disappear and go kill someone else, and then everyone just goes, well, I'm done, and they just leave.
Bring it up to my table.
Yeah, you gotta watch it for sure.
Yeah, there's an exception to every general rule, right? And I think I would wait, what? No, we're not going to crit that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Savage Worlds. That's why I like Savage Worlds, is because it's kind of built in. You guys know Exploding Dice. You've probably played it in different games. It's not anything really new. But that's what and that wouldn't work in the D&D sense because it's built off of completely different mechanics. I get that. But I really like that thing about Savage Worlds, that I could have a D4 and still crank out every so often, even though I'm only rolling a D4 for damage, but I do 14 damage because I exploded that dice 2 or 3 times. That's why I picked Savage Worlds is my game of choice right now. I love 5e, and I will always be dedicated to D&D because I've been playing it since '89. But that's what I love about Savage Worlds, is because it's built for this combat level. That's why I love it, is because you should have, I hate that you roll for the crit. Maybe you just have a minimum crit then, where it's no matter what, you're going to do at least your weapon's max damage, because it's ridiculous. Like you said, you only get a crit, if you're lucky once a setting, maybe if you're lucky. And then you get that crit finally and you roll a 1 on your damage. So you do 2 damage on a critical hit. That you're just robbing your player. As a DM, you got to be like, no, I'll give you 9 damage or give you 10 damage because that's some freaking BS. It really is. That's where that's kind of broken in the D&D world.
I think I would allow it on cantrips in 5e. I think I would say, doing a firebolt, and you crit the firebolt to hit roll, yeah, go ahead. You 10 plus a d10.
Right.
But I think for your d10 fifth level spell, yeah, I think I'd be like,
Well,
But again,
at what
then
point then with the
thing
cantrip
like-
would you cap it off? Because the cantrips scale in 15, so you get to, let's say, 11th level, it's 3d10. So that's 30 points of damage plus 3d10 average roll.
What's a 10th level rogue doing with sneak attack?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and your monster is going to have a hit point level and an AC or whatever it is soak that can soak a lot of that at that. You know, as long as you have a balanced system. Yeah, like a bear totem paladin.
Jesus, I've got a
level 16.
barbarian.
The bear totem paladin 16th level is, I mean, just burning everything down. So yeah, it's as long as you scale, and this might open up a whole other conversation about, which is the reason DMs stay up at night is trying to balance your battles, right? That's like the perpetual, algorithm to life that we're. Yeah, like seriously, and so yeah, if your battles, I would say in my experience, if your battle is built correctly, which is a effing big if, okay, in the world, you could probably run with the crits and be fine because your enemies, unless it's a fight that's just a bunch of just burn throughs anyway. I mean, if you're fighting your big bad and someone scores a max crit and that knocks off half the life of your big bad, you go back to the drawing board because you might have. I mean, your big bad doesn't have enough hit points to go against your party. You know what I mean? So I think it could definitely be. Yeah, it could be.
If you reduce the dragon to half its hit points, something really bad happens.
Yeah, I like that too. I do like that.
You don't even need to house rule much around that. Just the house rules that when the bad guy gets a legendary or rare action, when it's bloodied, they can use one.
Yeah.
Well, I never balance encounters anyway.
Yeah, no, balancing is tricky. I mean, particularly if you think about how even the two casters that do have that extra pump on damage with rogues and paladins, they're not comparable really, because a rogue getting sneak attack and a crit on sneak attack is as equal probability as anything else, and they get it the first time they hit. But paladins can bolt that on afterwards. So, going, this is a crit, and you just blast it all out afterwards. I think that's a necessarily. Again, it comes down to the balancing, because you just go, you've got a big barbarian paladin, just goes, 4th level smite, just bolt it onto the end of that. That's a heck of a lot of damage all at once. Whereas a rogue just goes, I got sneak attack on my first one, and then missed.
I think it balances in that other characters that can deal, as you mentioned, the wizard with the cantrip, or the fighter or the barbarian, they get to hit more often than a paladin, a comparable level paladin can, or a rogue can. So in terms of cumulative, not damage per strike, but damage per round, if we can delve that deeply into the meta, I think it vaguely kind of works for me. Because I've never had anyone complain that their fighter that is making, 3 times the attacks as the rogue or the paladin, they're going to hit more often because they get better at it. Your champion fighter crits better when they get to higher levels. They swing more often. So what if they're not doing a potential 78 damage on a crit when they factor in all the smites and all that? If they can do that 78 damage over the course of the round just with regular hits,
I
don't know how that works out.
Plus, if you also are doing max damage crits against your players, because that's the deal you got to make. It's like, yeah, we can do this, but this is coming at you guys too. So if that big bad drops his, and he rolls that 20, and he drops your cleric,
it's only fair.
That's the name of the game. Yeah, and it's all, and that. And that it is. It's a tough one, and there's a lot of those where it's like you start getting into Magic because Magic's the game breaker of D&D, right? Once you start getting into Magic, things get crazy. But at the same time, if you got a big bad that's like a fighter level 18 or whatever that's got like 4 to 5 attacks, and every time he's whacking that sword down is another chance he could be rolling a D20 on, you know what I mean? I don't know, it can get crazy. But
Yeah,
I
I think
have to keep going on about it, I guess.
Yeah, one final thing on that one though is that one of my players is in the chat. Hi, Sapphire, and she's saying that if I did that, I would kill my party very quickly because I crit a lot when I'm against my party. Like the last fight we had, I rolled 5 in a row and killed the big bugbear.
Well, okay then.
Level wizard.
That was bad.
You might want to pass on that rule for you.
Maybe. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If I was your player, I'd be buying you a new set of dice.
Why do you think my
one.
streams eat, crit, and survive? Because they eat those crits. They
Yeah.
don't survive, but they eat the crits.
I know what that's like. All of our rules are house rules because we have our own system, so I love house rules. That's all we have. That's all we've ever had.
I like it. I like it.
Existing systems, we homebrewed the heck out of it.
Does that mean not to go ahead? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. I have a question.
I mean, that's the gist.
Oh, okay. So
We
with
touch
that being the
everything.
case, do you guys find I'm gonna have to start listening to your podcast now that I know you? I will. Do you guys end up getting into like rules debates because of that? Like, is there a process of like, okay, this is coming up, we really don't have a set base for it?
Yes.
Does that happen a lot? Or not a lot, but does that happen?
If you listen, you'll occasionally hear us do it. I think a lot of the times if we get super meta, the one of us that edits will remove if it's
Cut that out.
if it becomes too
The beauty
much.
of a podcast. Yeah, I love that about
Yeah,
podcasts. You can just
It
be like,
doesn't get
oh,
ugly. I mean,
yeah,
but
here's
I mean,
30 minutes of
it's-
talk that we don't need. We're gone.
Exactly.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I want a
can-
timestamp on that so I can hear it.
Yeah, it does happen. And I guess because like not only is the world being built around us, but the system is his, and so there are all these. You know, any play tester or anybody who works on games or develops, I mean, there is a QA process for everything that is ever built, and you have to drive it to break it. And so we're driving his thing, and we break it or discover, like, you know, if we do this, we can actually slide through the wall and end up. on the other
That's
side.
all I would do.
Exactly.
I'm full on. I'm gonna find all the loopholes. Like that's it. I know that's what I would try.
Peasant
Even if
railgun.
I didn't try to, I would just. do that.
Peasant railgun.
I'm making us sound real smart. It doesn't. It's definitely not. He's definitely still the DM in many ways.
Oh, yeah.
He usually manipulates it on us 2 times over himself. So, you know, but we're performing while we're doing this, really. So it's like, we're trying to, you know. And sometimes we get into something that he didn't really mean for us to expound on. And then that becomes like a whole new thing for us to then decide or create a rule for. And when we opened up our game system to other people in December to do a charity stream, which
So much
Luna
fun.
was on, we did like it was like a one-shot weekend in this basically like a Chuck E. Cheese that Seth from Cheaper by the Dungeon created when he guest DM'd for us. And we did a charity bowling tournament and all of these other podcast. Yeah, Benjamins.
The Benjamins music is my ringtone on my phone.
Yes! It was out of control, but we had to get everybody reformatted into our system so that they could play the game, and then Seth had to DM the whole thing. Bless him. It was an undertaking. And I mean, like, just seeing how all of these people who played one time in our system found ways to break the game that we'd never thought of was so crazy. You have to test your stuff like 100 billion 10 times.
That's a fun experience. That could be a fun experience.
So,
going
and we're
through
gonna
that.
do
That
it
would- that
every
would be
year now.
interesting.
So if you want to bowl,
Oh my god,
Kinda.
do it. Do it. It was so much fun. I'm telling
Nicole
you, the
in the
linguinis
chat
are
is
going to
the
come
one that
back.
runs it.
The Linguinis
So-
are coming back.
They have to. They were the funniest team. But, I mean, Nicole is going to run it for us every year. It's annual now, so if you want to bowl in space, it's incredibly dangerous. And half the time it's not even bowling, but
Not at all.
Who doesn't want to bowl in space? I mean, that's like TTRPG bucket list number 1, right? Bowling
I mean,
in
at
space.
the end, it definitely turned into something else. There were kaijus, and so just
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So then it just
there's other
went to
stuff.
level 11. I like
Bring
it.
your own
There were
shit.
characters that died. It was
Yeah,
awful.
homebrew or bust,
Hide
man.
behind a pile of dead bards.
Yeah, basically, those are the pins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bowling for cards.
Oh man.
Love a good
Watching
bard.
for the announcement.
So much
Yeah,
fun.
some
Highly,
characters
highly, highly recommend. Definitely should do it. Everybody should do it at least once.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause the conversation there so we can go take a quick break.
Holy
and
crap, that was fast.
I know, it's been an hour already.
Yeah, wow.
It
Wow.
goes so
Only
fast.
answered 3 questions.
It's almost like we have a
Yeah, exactly.
All
Did we
that
even
was-
get anywhere?
Yeah.
Did we finish our introductions yet?
All that
So
with
the
no
thing
Judy
that's
quotes.
the thing that we always do is if we don't get to your chat, if we don't get to your question in the second half, we'll post it on Twitter tomorrow. I will post the questions on Twitter that don't get answered. So everybody here can take a stab at them if they want to. It's open to anybody on Twitter who wants to jump in and have a conversation. So look for it on the Shared Experience Twitter tomorrow if you don't get your answer here tonight. And so I'm going to put us over to the BRB screen. I'm going to restart some music, and we will be back in like 5 to 10 minutes.
Hey, Luna, just
Yes.
to put this out there, I just got permission that I could put out a piece of art for our Ascended, our big poster for the Ascended. So I'll drop that after the break.
Yeah, drop that in, and I will share it.
Ty Burris, now's your time, Ty. If you're in there, Ty, start, putting your little brand out there.
Right?
He's our artist.
He's awesome. All right. He did all of our overlay stuff. So, all right. And the Shared Experience logo. All right, for real. We're going to break now.
I don't know when that's going to happen for
No.
me. It's going to be months.
All right, we are back. I'm going to really quickly create a new scene so everybody can see the picture that Tony is sharing right now. So bear with me for like 2 seconds while I do that.
No worries.
You're the best, Luna. Thank you so much.
I do what I can. I do what I can, man. You are, let's see, you are guest 1. I'm going to copy your camera over to here, and I'm going to blow it way up.
Some high-tech stuff right now.
Right? You guys are watching, literally
I'm
watching
getting-
this be built as
I'm
we
getting
speak.
anxious.
Ooh.
Do I need to
Sausage.
expand? Hold on.
No,
Oh, there it
you're all set. So there it is.
She did it.
There it is,
Look
everybody.
at that. That is the characters and the big bad. Okay, so from my perspective, from left to right, the floating guy, the middle guy, that's my character. That's Sionis. He's superhero cyberpunk, folks. So keep that in mind. And then below him is Aranimus. He's going to be played by Big B's. And then you got Lancelot, our little drone. That's Lancelot. He's actually like the main. He's our little drone helper. Don't want to give a whole lot away, but he's kind of like the main protagonist of the whole thing. It kind of centers around something that he's trying to accomplish. And then next to him is Cypher. That's played by Ruby Riot. Next to her is Spark, who's played by 120 D&D Greg Festo. And then the looming in the background above Spark is Dr. Cronus, who is the man who created the Ascension Serum that was released into the world that actually killed off millions of people, and a small fraction of those that were affected by his Ascension Serum, which was his plan, actually grew the ability to have superpowers. So this is a story about Lancelot, our little drone, coming to this modern. It's actually 2021 in an alternate dimensional Earth is the world that I built.
Ooh.
And there was no Dark Ages in this. There was no Dark Ages in the history of this planet. So they're actually about 200 or 300 years ahead of us technologically, because science was not suppressed in any way globally. It was actually enhanced and embraced. And so, yeah. There you go. That's the Ascended next week on Sunday. So thanks, Luna. I appreciate it.
What time?
It is. It's I think we're still trying to decide, but I believe it's 7:30 Central. We should kick off 7:30 Central. I'll confirm that and I'll put in the chat for sure.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Tony. That's very cool.
No, thank you, Luna. Thank you.
No, thank you. Anyway.
It's like an NBC edited version of Goodfellas. No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm just checking The Simpsons. What about me? You didn't thank me. You didn't do anything. I like being thanked.
All right. So, for those of you, I'm gonna assume that most of you are not familiar with these characters, but I'm going to ask, because Katie Machin used her 1,000 points to ask this question next. Who would win in a fight between Bo and Osgar? So, for the reference, Bo is a blood rager and Osgar is a brawler.
Hang on, let me get a dice.
Hey, what do you think?
Bo?
I'm gonna go with Bo. And the fact that it's Katie Machin's question has nothing to do with my answer. But I'm gonna go with Bo.
Well, there you go.
Clearly.
I also am going to go with Bo because I'm pretty sure that Osgar would be too gentlemanly to try to beat up Bo.
Oh, is Oscar a
You give him too much credit.
I do.
She's giving way too much credit.
What if Oscar's got ideas?
Oscar talks a good game. He likes to tell everybody that he is a good fighter. Both of the people, the cast who play Bo and Osgar are in chat right now, so they're having a grand old time with this.
I feel like I have to be Team Oscar.
All right, so next real question. Let me move on.
All questions are valid, it's fine.
All questions are valid, okay.
Yeah, Team Oscar.
Oh shoot, I should have grabbed this stuff while I was standing up during break, but you all are going to have to watch me reach up above my desk again. So the next question actually comes from Orcrist86, and he would like to know, what is your favorite play aid? You guys answer. I got to stand up.
Play aid?
I mean, the only one that I really use in particular, I guess, is D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of what I mean. There's a bunch of stuff that I use. Like I use combat tiers, and I use different books and.
I use tequila as a play aid. Does that count?
Yeah.
Tequila, a little bit of rum. You know, I mean, that's about it.
Rum.
Oh, hello.
Uh-oh.
Yep, he sent a message. He had a slight computer technical glitch. He will be right back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm still Tony I'm good. I'm
You
still
are.
Tony in Twitch.
I'm just
so.
going to slide
Yeah, I'm
everybody
great.
over so they stay in the right spot, and then I will move everyone back after.
I'm still there.
Yes,
I'm in
Bob, you
too
just have to lean a little bit.
I think it rum followed by bourbon.
Yeah, it's a play aid.
Cheap red wine. No, seriously, D&D Beyond. If I'm playing. Otherwise, it's just a stack of books. I don't really.
How cool is D&D Beyond, by the way, folks? Like,
Oh, it's fantastic. It's like the
God, I
feature
love
they've added
D&D
in.
Beyond.
The new feature that they've just added in, the party dice roller, the dice tracker that they've now put in, particularly now that we're playing over Zoom.
I didn't even see that yet.
Oh, it's great. One of my players, Connor, who runs the stream for us, he's now incorporated that into our stream, so you can see the dice rollers that the players are doing. Not my dice, obviously. I need to crit.
That's
But you know, it's now as part of the stream that everyone can see what the players are rolling, which I think
You
is
have to
quite a
keep
nice
the
little.
crit engine secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they
Yes.
can't see that. That would really.
No.
That would be justice.
I didn't even notice that we were playing this morning, and we do all theater of the mind on Google Meet. And we don't stream it, which makes me feel kind of awkward amongst all of you guys. But I happen to have Beyond open to use the encounter tracker, and all of a sudden I started seeing all the different results popping up for all the players. I'm like, whoa, that's new. Wait in a few weeks.
Nice.
So that must be something they've rolled out recently. No more fudging die rolls.
Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday it popped up. So I think
We use
It's
Fantasy
you.
Grounds
yeah.
and Incarnate Map Maker. So we have animated maps during our live play. It's animated, like you get rain comes down or fog rolls in. It's kind of cool. It's got lighting adjustments through. And that what I'm waiting for. Big plug for Fantasy Grounds. Love you guys, but it would be interesting if that's the path that D&D Beyond is walking. Is that if they're going to, inherit one of these virtual engines, or if they're going to create their own where it's all you log into D&D Beyond and it's just like logging into Fantasy Grounds or one of these others,
Maybe
Roll20 or whatever it is, and it's just like, there you go.
I think you hit it right there. That I think I don't know.
That sounds cool.
I don't know anybody involved in D&D Beyond, but I sincerely doubt that D&D Beyond is going to be rolling out a VTT anytime soon, simply because of Roll20 having the license for the virtual tabletop stuff. I mean, the only two places you can get for D&D stuff, other than in print, is on D&D Beyond and Roll20. So unless you yank the license from Roll20, which why would they? Having an integrated VTT in D&D Beyond, that I think is not going to happen. I don't see it happening anytime soon. Not without
the only
license.
the only way I can see it happening is if they bought out Roll20 and they just merged.
Or they buy
Could also
Fantasy
happen.
Grounds, yeah.
Or that,
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think they would start from scratch. I think that they would go out and buy one. I think they would, or one of these that's starting in order.
There's a new one starting.
Because you can buy.
That I'm keen to get involved with. I don't really. I'm just maybe I'm a fossil, but virtual tabletop. So take me. I end up spending 3 times as long prepping for a session as I do running the session. But tabletop is a new one that Kobold Press has partnered with, and some other publishers. That looks really exciting for 5th edition. If you're running anything else, sorry, but right now they're focused solely on 5e, and I don't know if the Kickstarter is still active for it.
Are you
But
talking
if
about
I'm
the
gonna-
Shard
I know-
tabletop?
Yeah, Shard
It
table.
is still active because
Yes.
I've got to finish drawing something for it
Oh,
tonight.
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, Shard is actually super awesome. If you play 5e and you haven't had the chance to try it out, I highly recommend it.
Look at
Yeah.
I'm
So
making
that-
all sorts of new friends with cool stuff. I gotta look up Shard now.
Big plug.
We
If
if you
We're
that's-
go,
talking about it hard in the chat.
not last week, but the week prior, because we didn't have a show last week. The week prior, we actually had one of the founders of Shard Tabletop on. So,
Hal.
yeah,
And
it was
Hal
very
on,
cool.
didn't you?
Yep,
Hal
Hal was
Howard?
on.
Yeah, Hal's good people.
Yeah, super
And
nice guy.
he and I talked about getting Kabouter Games stuff on there, but I didn't have anything ready.
Mm.
I still really don't until the Mire comes out, because Toxandria is just it's so much different. I'm working on a 5e version of Toxandria that slowly but surely may one day take shape, but all the classes look different,
Yeah,
and because it's supposed to be OSR-ish, so there are no, like, you can't be a Battlemaster fighter. You're basically a fighter and a fighter and a fighter. You're using the 5e rules, but and Shard, they would need to do so much mod to Shard to make that work that we can that. But Hal, I'm still out there. I still want to be involved.
Yeah, go out there and sub that Kickstarter. It's still going. Whee!
I'm gonna have to go find a link. Make that happen.
I
Some of
believe
the
there's a link on
developers
our
are in the
YouTube,
chat.
Tony. Or
I'm
yeah.
Oh, devs are in chat.
Or
Some-
actually, Wolf's Blood. If you're still around too, he could probably pull it from that week as well. He'd have to go back and find it, but
Hell
he
yeah.
has access to the stuff from weeks prior.
I love having a simulator like that on camera because it just makes everything work so much faster, and the audience it's interactive for them. They get to see things happen. When it works,
I've gone the other
when you're not
way.
rolling a shitload of ones,
Yeah,
because their rolling mechanisms are always a little bit off. But other than that, it's either rolling a shitload of crits or a shitload of ones. It seems like with Fantasy Grounds, and it's kind of the running joke. But go ahead, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, sorry, I was speaking of you. I've gone completely the opposite way. I've just gone with laminated white, dry wipe, square, cube-inch paper, and a cell phone that is put on a piece of copper pipe that looks down onto the battle map that sits on my table within arm's reach of me. It's like, it's how I do it when we're sat around the table, so I do it like I do there. It just happens to be the easiest way for me to do. At the moment, I haven't looked into Shard or anything like that, so that's I can completely understand that things like
I'd love to do that with Dwarven Forge. I would love to go buy like $50,000
God, yes.
worth of Dwarven Forge and just have like 3 or 4 cameras and
Yeah.
So
oh man, I would be all about it.
you'll want to check out our stream next week then. I know you're streaming next week, but you'll want to check it out because we actually have a guy coming on next week, Sean from Paradise RPG, who actually does that on their streams. That's what he does.
Oh, I thought you were talking about 50 Shades of Crimson.
Oh,
and you
gosh,
were like,
no.
we got
no.
you want to see Dwarven Forge? We
Behind
got
my
Dwarven
green screen
Forge.
is
Show
all
up
Dwarven
Wednesday.
Forge. No, Sean, who DMs for Paradise RPG, has a whole bunch of Dwarven Forge, and that's what they use instead of a VTT or anything like that. So, here is the link for the Shard Kickstarter. I just dropped it in chat for anybody who wants to take a look at
Awesome,
it.
you're the best, Luna.
You can thank Jim the Dim for that one, actually. He was the one who grabbed it
Oh,
for
hey,
us.
Jim the Dam, what's up, man?
So, hey, he's back.
Hi, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Technical
Have
issues
we
happen.
got the problem? I've googled the problem, and the problem is Windows doesn't know. So, I don't know what happened.
The problem is
The
Windows.
problem is Windows.
That's all right. I will fix everybody's cameras up, and so we were just discussing If there's any type of what was the word that we used? Aid?
Player aid.
Player aid that you like to use when you play. I'll give you a second to think about it. I will share. I like virtual tabletops. I also use Fantasy Grounds, but I've used Shard and really love it. But I'm a huge fan of these. These are from Arcane Spectacles. This one is an AC tracker.
Ooh.
And this one is a hit point tracker. And so I've used these actually not just when playing pen and paper, but also when I know that I'm in a situation where my hit points might be changing rapidly or my AC may be getting adjustments because of, buffs or whatever. So, yeah, I'll just throw a couple of D12s in and I'm good to go. So.
Oh, I got one that when we get out of this stupid pandemic, people might think is fun. If you drink fizzy soda type things, save the little rings that when you open it, the cap comes off. Save those. I have a bag of those because I've been saving them for years. I don't really drink soda, but people give them to me. I use them on the tabletop in person because they're sized just right to go around a round mini base. I use them as statuses.
Condition markers.
Paralyzed. Condition markers.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Blue is poison, red is bloody. Gosh, I've been using them since 4th edition. Sorry. So red is poison. Yeah.
The other version I've had some which I got which were 3D printed, which I've got the conditions written on them. They don't work so well on camera, but I've now taken to having just pipe cleaners.
Yeah.
Like those little fuzzy things, and I've just got ones that are just white. They are concentration. You are concentrating on a thing, it helps me to remember things. And then different ones that just sort of pop in, which just shows up quite nicely. But yeah, absolutely, those are great things. It makes it a lot easier for people to remember stuff is happening.
I found these too. I picked them up for a whopping 50 cents a piece online just before the holidays, and I was going to mail them out to friends and then didn't get the chance, so now I have a stack of them on my desk and I'm not sorry. They are sold as inspiration tokens.
Oh, yes.
Which, I mean, really, you could use them for anything. Like, here, have an inspiration token, but you could also use them for, like, oh, this is your, like, you just got eaten by a dragon token, or your whatever. I mean, so I love little things like that, too. Just I'm a visual person like that, so the visual cue of oh, yeah, that's right.
I hear that.
I
gotta see it.
Yeah.
My memory sucks.
Yep.
So...
I play any games where we use them, but self-plug, Locust kind of is designed with them, I guess, because of the way we did item cards.
Cool.
So it's a horror game, so we've got item degradation, and because we want the choice to use an item to be a meaningful, worrying choice that people will second guess after they've done it, creates fear. We've designed item cards that you can just kind of like fill out on the fly. They've got like 4 stats on them, but they're like really quick. But the idea is then you have something physical to hold as a player, and you can tick it off, and then you can tear it in half when it breaks.
This actually just came with the dice that I won too, which I really like. So the dice that I won were from Modern Artifice on Etsy, and they make a character helper. There you go. Now you can see it.
Oh, nice.
So it's I'm trying to
spell slots. Okay.
So it's got spell slots, whether or not you have inspiration, death saves, reaction use this round, and then class or magic item uses. So it's just kind of a neat little. I hadn't seen anything like it. I thought it was kind of a neat little card. So I just kind of stuck it to the side because I'm sure I'll want to use something like that at some point.
That is the sort of thing you want to get laminated and then just have to fly away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love the idea of item cards.
Yeah.
That you just tear up for in-person play. I have to get a stack of 3x5 index cards, and when I hand out treasure, okay, here's your potion of healing.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
while
idea, too.
I was using the little gummy Coke bottles.
I love
Coke
that.
bottles. Here's a potion of healing. Well, I went to a game session once, and I didn't have enough minis. But what I did have was a 1-pound bag of Starburst candies.
There you go.
color wrappers on them. I had a Sharpie, or the dry erase pens that I was using on my good old-fashioned, old-school ChessX grid battle mat to draw all the stuff on. So, the red first are orcs, numbered in order. The orange ones are hobgoblins, numbered in order. And the fun part about that was when you kill a creature, when you kill an enemy, you get the sweet, sweet joy of devouring it. And
I like that.
But yeah, I started giving out the little Howdy Bo Coke bottles as healing potions and stuff like that. So when you use your healing potion, wow, I just regained.
I just want to have a chance to use play aids like that because our team all live in different countries. So we've never actually all been at the same table ever, all at the same time while playing a game. Because I'm in Iceland, and then our DM's in the UK, and we've got our editor in Germany, and our barbarian, I guess, sort of, is in Norway, and then, our marketing person, Nicole, is in the US, and we used to have Devin, who's now in the Czech Republic. So
wow.
That's
our dream is to one day play at the same table, but until then, our play aid is the internet. We would not be able to do this without it. Dang, the internet has saved our lives. And notepads, because since we have a weird game system, we can't use most of this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So I have to draw these massively detailed charts for all the different explosives that I have and all the stuff that I make. And we're all professional artists, so you would think that we have the most high-tech looking stuff ever, but we have the most lo-fi setup on the planet because even one of us is a map maker for isometric worlds, and we make so much stuff because we have to that when we play, we literally stare at a blank grid and we just make everything up.
That's awesome.
Nothing wrong
No
with that.
visuals.
I love it.
No
I love
visuals at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all.
It's all verbal.
All right. This is a fun, hopefully fairly easy question. Jim the Dim asks, what's your favorite beverage while playing?
Water, because I will run out of breath and sore throat.
Seltzer water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I'm playing if I'm playing on camera, I don't drink alcohol. But if I'm at home, I luck out. One of my players loves making AMF or AMFs. I don't know if there's a plural to that. However that works. She got a kick out of doing that, so we'd get pretty lit. On camera, coffee or tea is usually what I'm drinking out of my mug. Maybe a soda every once in a while if I'm getting squirrely.
It's in my name. It doesn't stop being tea. Doesn't stop being the drink of choice just because I'm playing a game. Ever. It is. Right.
That's the ultimate. It's good for you.
I don't bleed blood anymore.
Anymore. I like that there was the anymore.
I live 10 kilometers from from a Trappist brewery, so yeah.
There you go.
Oh wow.
I'm in the Netherlands.
So
I'm surrounded by great beer when I'm there. So hey.
Every so often, I'll drink a gin and tonic while we play. Occasionally a glass of wine, but usually it's tea and seltzer water.
If I could have anything I want, I would love a margarita, but I don't know how that would work if I had a couple of them, because we usually have our stuff lasts 4 or 5 hours, and it's fun, but it's also work, so
yeah.
You can listen to the episodes and tell which ones where we did have margaritas. So
yeah, non-intoxicated Tony is fun. Intoxicated Tony is too much fun. So Tony doesn't drink while he's on camera because Tony's got to have the mouth of a sailor as it is.
Basically.
You get some drinks in me. And
I don't know,
Army
this
Tony comes
year-
out of it. F word everywhere.
You gotta cut yourself some slack. This year's been really hard. We recently had a couple episodes that were really like tactically boring, but they were us living out our current fantasies, like getting to be around people, eating in a restaurant, going to an airport.
We went to a movie theater.
Wow.
You
Those
know,
got
maybe a
so
park.
ridiculous. We drank during those, and I'm telling you, we had the time of our lives.
That's
I think we're at
awesome.
the point that going to the airport is one of your
Hey,
fantasies.
That was a 2-part episode.
That's wild.
That's great.
There are 8 hours of us processing through a space airport. So, sounds weird.
Wow.
Was weird.
Actually, I've done airport sessions. Like, we needed to go somewhere, and they were like, "You're not bringing the sword on the plane," and I was like, "I am bringing the sword on the plane." The sword is coming. And it went, yeah, it's fine. Like, our stealthy dude went and stole a plane.
That's
I
amazing.
didn't want him to steal the plane. I'm
Yeah.
the good one.
Actually
No,
got
definitely
questioned
good.
by the security at an airport many years ago for not a sword, but I used to do historical European martial arts, and I had a actual chain mail T-shirt, the stainless steel sharks, the anti-shark bitey stuff. Because if a blade breaks, it's not going through that. Not if a shark can't go through it. And it's basically a T-shirt. It's very tiny, very small, welded stainless steel length. So my suit was overweight with the chain shirt in there. So I took it out and put it in my backpack, in my
Okay.
carry-on.
I'll bet
And
they
of course it
loved
tripped
that.
all the alarms.
Of course.
And the TSA agent pulls it out and he's, "What the hell is that?" And I said, "I'm a bouncer in a really shitty dive bar." And he gave me
At
the
a tavern.
He's like,
At a tavern.
"There's no box cutter. Yeah, there's no box cutter in the world gonna go through that. You break a bottle on the bar and try and slash me with it. You're not gonna. No, it's not gonna do anything." He goes, "Oh, okay." And he put it back in the bag. "Have a nice flight."
He's like,
Fair
where
enough.
can I get that?
Right?
Yeah, just immediately Googling it for his own job.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah,
can I
right?
get away with wearing this?
You don't even know it, but you started a
right.
whole new industry fad.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
I know, right?
TSA. Everyone's
agents
walking
are-
around in.
This is the person
Chainmail.
responsible for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be disappointed next time I go to Heathrow. He's not in a full plate mail suit. Just
I got sentenced to death in Heathrow.
Oh, it happens.
I can tell you, that's a long story that I can tell later.
Brexit.
Yeah, it's in like 2006, but yeah. Anyhow, before
Oh,
Terminal 4 was finished.
That's wild. All right, let's see. Ray Mayhem threw another question out. The question was, who or what is your biggest inspiration for table play as a DM, GM, or player?
Cheesy answer is my players, and then sort of wider world building is just generally Greek mythology and Norse mythology, because there is so much crazy stuff that goes on that you don't even have to think about it. I was listening to Stephen Fry's Greek mythology books, sort of help for inspiration. I was to get on and have a read about, and they're just pretty much every problem has started with Zeus was horny, and he saw a hot chick, and then stuff happened.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. That's the entire Greek mythology in a nutshell. Of all the
Hilarity
problems.
ensues. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ad lib. See what happens. I had an arc recently that was just basically this is a creature that is very obscure part of Greek mythology. Achillean. He's was turned into a shark. So the players are going to have to go fight the king of the sharks. It's Achillean. Sure, why not? Let's pull that together.
It
Like the
depends
biggest
on
inspiration. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It depends on the campaign and the character, I guess. Like, different settings mean different sort of inspiration draws, I guess. It's been a while since I've actually been in one.
Right.
But yeah, I can't. I don't know. It depends. I'll try and think of a specific one.
So many great DMs out there, though, and even just like within your own bubble communities, like the other podcasts that we work with a lot. Incredible DMs and incredible voices and people who just have like these massive explosive personalities. I don't think we've ever played with anybody, because we do like guest stuff every now and then, or we have a guest DM, or in a few guest players. Usually we have guest DMs now, which is weird. It used to be the opposite. But I mean, all of those people are so talented and incredible, and it's hard to play with somebody and not want to like kind of emulate some of their like skills or the things that they bring to their gameplay, or just the way that they like switch between voices, or the kind of voices that they do, or you know, the types of characters that they bring. And I'll just be watching TV or something and I'll see like a character. Most of my inspiration comes from fictional characters that already exist, and I'll have like a TV show or something that I'm watching and I'm like, I want to make that a paladin so bad.
Yeah. Man.
But I think I take a lot of inspiration for the scenarios that I concoct. For my players, I'm a big fan of relationships.
Yeah.
And how they intersect with the game world by developing those relationships. And nothing beats pulling characters from... I'm a historian by training and education. So I go back, and my favorite period is the Wars of the Roses.
Oh, okay, that's... Being
the English Civil War of the 17th century. So I'll go back and I'll pull these characters from here and from there, and put the characters basically in between, say, the Earl of Warwick,
right,
and between the Yorkists and the Lancastrians, and let them navigate through these different relationships while trying not to get killed.
Right.
And choose the right. If you choose this patron, that patron's no longer going to like you. You're going to make an enemy, but you have to choose a patron.
Right.
Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere. That sort of thing.
That would be cool. That would be a fun game to play.
It's not quite sim. There's still owlbears and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't even know. Like, where do I draw my... Because coming from a place of just characters, where do I draw my inspiration from? I think it's just... And this is going to sound so freaking corny, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Do it.
I'm learning. I'm learning to be a writer. I'm finishing my creative writing degree for the entertainment industry. Yeah, it's a bachelor's of fine arts for those who don't give a shit. And so I kind of fallen in love, refallen in love. I've always been in love. Wow, that's confusing. With true, like the true hero's journey, right?
Okay.
I didn't know that that's what it was called until, I mean, I'm 42 now, so until my mid-30s, I didn't really know what any of that meant. I just knew I loved it, and I didn't know why. I've been playing D&D since I was 10, right? And so when I build my characters, and this is where the corny part comes in, is I think I draw my inspiration from wanting to live out a character's journey through that hero's journey, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, I want to feel as an actor that my character passed through this, from trying times to up and downs to love to feelings to friends to loss, all the way till the end to the eventual success, whatever it is. And that's so, I guess if I draw my inspiration, it's from what hard things have I gone through in my life, or like my son, or other people that I've known in my life, and how can I take that and say, in a real life sense, with like a multitudes of those, and try to create a character that goes through their version of that. And so my backstories are always way too in depth. Like, it's just part of you sign up with Tony, you're gonna get a long ass backstory, and that changes. Like I don't know if James is here or any of the DMs that I've worked with. It changes. Like, I'm in constant conversations with my DMs about this trek that my character's going on, because I want that to change as well. And I told you it's gonna be corny, folks, so I apologize. But like that is my inspiration. Is I, as an actor, I'm going to proclaim myself as an actor. I hate doing that kind of stuff. But I want to feel that, like if Evie or Shula or Marktov or any of these players that I've ever played with goes down, me, Tony, I want my heart to break. I don't just want Ryan's heart to break. I want my heart to break. I want
That's
the
why you play,
audience
though.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel
And that's
that
my
stuff.
inspiration. Yeah, that's my inspiration, is like, who is this person that I'm creating? And how can I live this experience to its full potential? And now, as an entertainer, how can I draw the audience in with that?
Yeah.
And so that's my long version of how to answer that question, I guess.
Nah, that's cool. I like it.
Mm.
I mean, what's
Very
the point
cool.
of playing if you're not gonna really like attach your heart to it? Why
Exactly.
do it?
And the audience deserves
Especially
that.
the other
They're
characters.
choosing. Yeah, like, and these audience members are choosing to spend time with us, for those that are on camera or on podcasts.
Right.
They can be anything. They can be doing anything they want to in the world. They could be watching Netflix. They could be spending time with their family. They could be watching somebody else on Twitch. They could be listening to another podcast. But for whatever reason that resonates with them, they're listening and spending time with you. You owe it to them and your fellow cast members who are putting so much into it, and the DM who's putting so much into it, and the production team that's putting so much into it. You owe it to all of these entities to give 110%, because, and to yourself, probably more than anything, to yourself.
Yeah.
To live out as much as you can, and in a weird way, to that character you just created. Orion is an entity. He lives within me. Maximilian Arkancast, God rest his soul, he lives in me. Like, these people live in me, and they deserve my effort into that, like to give everything that I have for that.
Totally.
Sorry.
Every
No,
character
totally.
is
Yeah.
a
Oh,
shard
guys,
reality.
Oh, that's that.
I love it. Don't apologize for flashing.
I don't think anybody
Yeah.
here is gonna be like, "Oh, that's not it."
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just,
If you want to figure out if tabletops are for you, if that didn't resonate, there you go.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
That's the crux of the whole thing. If I stop loving this, then I'm not gonna do it anymore. Like, you have to be
right.
It's 3,000% in. Like, you can't just come in and be like, I don't feel it, but here, you
Right.
know.
I
No
wouldn't,
way.
I wouldn't struggle as
Exactly.
a small publisher in a totally saturated industry without taking inspiration.
Yeah.
from
It's hard.
my
Doing
colleagues.
Exactly.
anything in this industry is
You
hard.
You guys take stuff that people like me write, and you actually make it not suck. You make it interesting. You make it.
Right.
You take it in directions that you never anticipate. I love watching actual play stuff. I don't have time to watch much of it, but I love to watch actual play stuff, especially when people are playing things that I know. You know, like people who are doing, say, one of the hardcovers, or an
Yeah.
adventure that's written by somebody that I know from DM's Guild or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the direction that these you guys take things in these online these live streams or tape streams or podcasts is just astounding. And I can't thank you all enough for doing that, because it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, growing up, like 89 is when I think I started first playing. I wouldn't have even and I tell this story all the time. And Luna, I'm not going to cry this time. I promise.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, I had one tear that shed. One tear. Everybody got one tear. No, just kidding. But
there was 2 tears.
I used to have to hide. Yeah, it was actually 2 tears. Maybe. I had to, when I was growing up, we had to, I tell the story, I'd go to the mall and I'd go buy a shirt, some random shirt that's cheap. Then I would go to the game store and buy my D&D books and then wrap my D&D books up in the shirt to pack away in my bag so that I could make it in the public bus to make it home so that I didn't get picked on all along the way for being the kid walking around with a D&D book. And so that's the world I grew up in. And I know that's very dramatic. We all went through our trying times, but to now sit back at 40 of all times, and I'm a project manager and I've been to college, done all these things, personal achievements, father, all these things. And then to come back and I'm able to circle back in a roundabout way to this passion I had at 10 with Billy French and the boys in his basement playing D&D in 1989 and 91 and 93 and all that. And now I can go on and do camera work with people in Iceland and England and all over. We got one of our people who's flying back and forth from where's Sinan from? I always forget where Sinan from. Turkey, yeah. And it's crazy. This little kid that it would have been great just to find one more person who was into it is now. This is my life. This every moment that I'm not actually working or being a dad, I'm doing this. That's
it. That's the dream.
Yeah, exactly. It's a trip and a joy that I'm so happy I was able to experience it in my time on Earth because it's it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to experience.
I never had any expectations that I would be doing what I do now. If you'd ask, 16-year-old, because I'm 48. And, in 86, 87, something like that, I played pretty much nonstop since then, even when I was in the Army, and it was never until 5e, until 5e exploded.
Yeah.
It's always something that under wraps, you don't podcast that stuff. I'd say it was building before 5e came out, but then 5e came out and it exploded. You've got Critical Role, and all of these different shows on off, all of these other different shows, and you've
Joe Magdaleno and Vin Diesel and all these stars, whether it's true or not that they're players. Well, I know Joe is, but celebrities are coming out, the people who, not to be, I hate being this kind of person that you would generalize as someone who might pick on that kid walking around with that D&D book back in 1989. They kind of look like the guy that would have done that. But then you come to find out they were that guy too. And she was that girl too. And they were that. And you were like, wait a minute, what? People did this outside of Magna, Utah? What? And they're coming out of the woodwork, And it's there's this whole not to get over dramatic. But it's crazy.
Watch some Red Nose Day stuff. I think it was on some stuff on YouTube. I thought from Red Nose Day of comedians.
Yes.
Doing their lockdown game. Hysterical stuff. Nish Kumar, he can play, and he can play James Acaster, same thing. That stuff was hysterical, and to hear people like Sue Perkins going, no, we're not hopping on this bandwagon. We really want do this, that's very refreshing to hear, as you say, from people who you would never expect to be the kind of in the base hiding away nerds.
Which is kind of like
the 80s, the Satanic Panic and all that.
Amen. Which is kind of like an allegory, if that's the right word, to what the TTRPG experience is, where it's you never judge a book by its cover. You never judge a person.
You do, because Elmore covers are superior to all other covers.
Right? Yeah. And you don't judge a player by who they are. You allow them to be them, and you give them the right to give themselves permission to be them. And and so all of these like it's erasing. I mean, hopefully erasing, playing a big role in erasing. Hopefully, the prejudgment that goes on in the world. Yeah, just like what you're saying, like people who you would never expect. It's like, oh, wow, that's freaking crazy and cool, and I'm going to check myself to remember that, don't judge a book by its cover, kind of a thing,
Yeah, we're getting bigger, and we are Legion.
We are Legion.
Don't hide your books.
All your base are belong to us.
Yeah.
We shall hold our minis aloft. They will roll.
Oh gosh. Yeah, and it was just coming up in chat too, just how, it's only growing. TTRPGs are only growing. And I think a lot of that is now, one, we had a pandemic that kept a lot of people going like, well, what do I do with myself now? And so they were seeking out a lot of new hobbies and stuff. So that, I think a lot of people came into it during the course of the last year. There was someone in chat was just saying, I've only been playing for less than a year. We have a cast member on one of our streams who's been playing for like 2 years now. Our DM's been playing for like 2 years now. Things like that. And so yeah, it's really just growing. And I think the other thing too now is there's so many, like, it's not just D&D. There's not just D&D anymore. There's all these independent artists and writers and creators and developers that are making these amazing systems and one-shots and all of this stuff. That there's something out there for everybody. There's a system out there for everybody, and some of them have extremely low barriers to entry, so you don't need a lot to learn how to play it. If you can read the system and you have a D20, or you can read the system and you have whatever you need to play, you're good to go.
And if you don't have a D20, you can download the app.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't even need to have one.
Yeah. We got you covered. Don't worry about it. Like, crazy.
Yeah, one of the things I always see is that people are saying, oh, I really want to try this, I really want to play it, but I don't have a DM or I don't have a GM or anything to do it. To those people, I say, why not pick it up yourself? Because I started playing D&D because a friend of mine at work said, I want to give this a go. He introduced me to board games. I was like, yeah, sure, let's give this a go and let's have a go with it. And I went, this is really interesting, and picked up sort of building a character for it, and then went, well, what's it like on the other side of the screen? And the only way you're going to know how to do it is by just doing it. Like, my partner, she's been interested in picking up the DM screen and having a go herself, and she read through the Dungeon Master's Guide and has read through quite a lot of it. And I said to her, realistically, me and my flatmate, we've never read that thing cover to cover. We've read the bits that are pertinent to what we need to do.
Yeah.
We cherry pick bits and pieces we need to do. But to be honest, just do it. To anyone out there who wants to play a game and wants to play any sort of RPG, just pick it up and do it. Just do it yourself. There's no need to go and invest in D&D Beyond. There's
You're
no
worried
need to
about
go
doing it right?
Oh,
You're worried about doing it right? Don't. B, I mean, people always, I'm DMing my first 5th edition game in 2 weeks' time. What do I read? And I always tell them, go to DriveThruRPG, purchase the 4th edition DMG and DMG2. It will actually teach you how to run a session in any RPG. I mean, yes, there are certain mechanical things that are specific to 4th edition, but they're very, very small portions of those books. It tells you like what the different types of players work out to be. It tells you things like, oh yeah, plan for a half an hour or before your session so people can meet and shoot the breeze, and then plan for a half an hour after your session so people can meet and shoot the breeze and just be friends.
Yeah.
So if you only have 3 hours, know that one of your out. It's stuff like that, and that's so yeah. I think they're like $9.95 in PDF form on DriveThruRPG. If you're running a game, irrespective of what system, buy those books. Read them. You won't.
You can do it. You can do it.
Kind of disagree,
You
but
can do it.
yeah.
Okay.
You've got a conflict of interest there, so...
No, essentially, I just think that I think that D&D is a really good game to start as a player. I don't think it's a good game to start as a DM. And I appreciate that lots of people who have been really that got into it did start there, but I think that if you have the choice, D&D is not a good first DM system, personally. I think there's much better systems out there to learn how to DM properly and well, and to create a story and encourage like strong, good habits for DMs. And that's not me saying everyone who started with D&D is a bad DM. I'm really not saying that, because there's loads of amazing DMs who start with D&D. But, you know, like, if you got the choice, I would say that it's not the best system to start with. And as a result, like, probably better to pick up a book from something else. But that's me. I also didn't start with D&D, so I've got a slightly skewed perspective on it, and I don't really play it that much.
Yeah.
So it's not my pedigree.
Jack, do you think that...
Sorry, go on.
Jack, do you think that... What system do you think is better to for beginning referees?
It's tricky.
To check out?
I would say, I think I would recommend as an option, not necessarily as the best. I would say that World of Darkness. Any of the World of Darkness games they're very storytelling based. They've got a really intuitive rule system for the most part. Like, I know that lots of people were like, D&D, it's easy to learn because it's the one I learned. But honestly, like, having a stat that then derives into a second stat on the sheet is immediately incredibly confusing for people who don't know what's going on. Like, I found it confusing reading things because I'd never really done D&D, and I was like, what the hell is this? But like,
you think it might be
like you have sorry, like with WOD, you've got like 1 to 5 dots in one stat, 1 to 5 dots in the other stat. You put 2 stats together and you roll that many d10s. Like, that is all you need to know, and that's all your players really need to know to properly start playing. Which is really nice as a DM, because you don't have to make sure that you've got like a huge encyclopedia of rules behind you that you know about, or you're going to have to keep checking, because ultimately everybody kind of knows what they're rolling in 90% of the situations immediately off the bat. It's really easy to just say, I'm going to say 2 stats, and you just add the dice together and you roll that, and a 7+ is a success, and you tell me how many successes it is. Do
you think there might be something to a thing that I've heard a lot about D&D is that D&D can be hard to GM, to referee, because there's a tradition of learning how to do it, for lack of a better term, at the feet of a master. You know, in a mentor situation, or by playing under a bunch of different DMs.
Maybe I think part of it is just the fact that as its nature as a fairly mathematically heavy, quite strongly balanced by its nature, like there's a lot of work being done in D&D throughout the editions to balance it, and there's a lot of maths going on, I think, and the fact that it is at its core a combat tunnel game. Like, the mechanics of D&D are about go place, fight thing, go to new place, fight thing. Like, you can do so much more with it, obviously, because it's a roleplay system, but that is the core of what the mechanics do. And I think that can mean that inexperienced DMs end up in quite an adversarial position to their players, which you see a lot in a lot of D&D memes and jokes and stuff. And I think that a lot of DMs don't take that adversarial position, but I have met DMs that do, and I've met people that kind of like fall into that, and I think that's one of the reasons. I think also just that it's incredibly rules dense and isn't actually that easy to enter compared to a lot of others. Like, the barrier for entry for D&D, like the main reason why D&D is easy to enter is because so many people play it. Because it's so easy to find people to teach you the rules comparatively to basically everything else. And because there's so much stuff out there for it, which is like a really legit, great reason to play it. The sheer amount of content, the sheer amount of amazing creativity from people doing like actual plays and podcasts and stuff that you can use as reference, for people making stuff at DM's Guild and drive-through for it, people hacking it into all sorts of different things, some of which I think are amazing, some of which I think I'm like, why? why would you want that in D&D? But that's me. And I make systems.
Yeah.
So, like, I see horror in D&D and I go, why would you do that? D&D is not made for horror. It's fundamentally ill-suited. But then I also wrote an entire horror RPG, so of course I think that. Like, I'm not in an unbiased position there. So take what I say with a pinch of salt anyway. But also, like, to anyone listening to this, I'm not ragging on D&D, but please take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I'm not someone who grew up on D&D. I don't.
Yeah, your opinion is not your opinion is not abnormal. Like, there is a lot of people who. There's a lot of people. I'll just put it this way, from my impression. There's a lot of people who go out to create modules and to create other games, just not to spite D&D, but because they find elements of D&D that they don't like, and they want to go and say, well, D&D doesn't have this, this, and this, so I'm going to go create a system that does, and then emphasize these things. So, and that's a lot. Like, that is, yeah, like that is probably one of the main motivators that gets people to crack open a book and start making their own rules, is because there are elements of D&D that they aren't digesting. So I don't, like, and I grew up on D&D, like, vanilla and advanced. So it's hard for me to even comment on that, because back in my day, that was pretty much the only game. Like, there wasn't, but I mean, we had other games to choose from. But I mean, when you're 10 years old, you walk into the store and you see the cover of one game has like a piece of paper and a pencil and some dice, and you'll get D&D, and it's got like this dude charging after a dragon and a sword and all this shit. You're like, oh, which one am I going to buy at the same price? You know what I mean? Like, so you end up just like, back then, you just kind of got drawn in for the spectacle of it all.
Like, the first roleplay thing I ever bought was a D&D starter set. It was 3.5 edition starter set, and then I never found anyone to play it with. So I still have never played it, but I've got it in the cupboard somewhere. Like, it was the first one I played, because D&D's the one you buy. It's the one everybody knows about. It's the one with the really cool covers, and it's made by Wizards of the Coast. And they make other things, like the Pokemon card game that I was playing when I was a kid. Obviously,
I got sucked into D&D by my friends. My friends. The first game I ever bought, that I wanted to play, was Middle Earth role playing from Iron Crown.
Merp, dude. I got it. It's sitting right over there, dude. Don't worry about it. I got your back.
Dude, Against the Dark Master. If you don't have it, go get it. Against the Dark Master.
All right.
If you're into Merp. Anyhow, sorry.
I'm going to jump in here because we are at our end time already.
There were some questions I saw in chat that I really wanted to get to.
I know. There was a lot of great questions. We didn't have time to get to... oh, gosh. Let me see. We missed out on... Let me see. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, at least 3 really great ones, and I think there was a few that came in a little bit later too. So
I'll take the blame. I'll jump on the grenade for everyone. I'll take the blame for blame about Blabbermouth.
I know one of them was like right up your alley, Jack.
Well, I mean, like, honestly, I think my tomorrow on Twitter is going to be answering those questions.
Absolutely. So check us out on Twitter. If we didn't get to your questions tonight, find it's at shared exp RPG on Twitter, and I'll be posting those there at some point tomorrow. But yeah, we're gonna just quickly go around again, have everybody remind us of who they are and where we can find them online. And so we're going to go in the reverse order from the way we went before. So, Jack, we're going to start with you.
Panic. Hi, I'm Jack. I'm T-Crusading on Twitter. I'm also the lead game designer of Cobblepath, which is at Cobblepath on Twitter. If you want to see like the games that we're making, you can follow me. I usually retweet everything Cobblepath does, but Cobblepath's the one that's actually posting loads of stuff at the moment, because we've got like 3 projects coming on, coming up, happened. We've got Locust, which is our horror game inspired by psychological horror. It was made to be really scary because we didn't feel like most of the other ones on the market were genuinely scary. It's non-Lovecraftian. and like it's about the place being the evil thing. Like the place is the malevolence that you're dealing with, and you're in a place and it's spooky and it's horrible. And I'm very proud of it. I think it's pretty good. And I would love people to check it out.
Excellent.
And I can't wait to find out what Luna thinks of it when she's had the chance to properly read all of it.
Yeah.
We have a Kickstarter coming up. Plug for the Zine Quest. We've got a Zine Quest story coming up. It's going to be a story for Locus. It's called Sticks and Stones. It has these little dolls in photography in it all over the place. If you're in England, you can buy one, but only if you're in England, because Brexit has screwed up postage of anything above letters, and I don't trust it right now, and I can't deal with that at the moment. So if you want to buy Locus, it's also going to be an add-on for that that's slightly cheaper, so you might want to wait for that. You can follow it. It's all over my Twitter.
All right.
And Cobble Paths. And then in April we've got Coffee and Chaos, which is a silly comedy game that's got some amazing artwork from someone called Nims, who is on Twitter. And follow us, and then you can hear about that later.
Oh, well, thank you for coming
Excellent.
on and hanging out again tonight. It was great to have you again.
Yeah, it was great being here.
And we'll go to Taylor next.
Hey, that's me. Hold on one moment. I have to claim my bonus in the chat money or whatever. That's very important.
It is. It's super
so I have
important.
like 5,000. One day I'll use it. Anyway, Goblin Brain can't do anything else if there's a shiny. But, yeah, I'm Taylor, or Tay, depends on who's talking about me on Twitter. I belong to Backwater Bastards. We are on Twitter too, at BW Bastards. Yes, the whole swear. Absolutely every time. This is why we can't run Facebook ads. But I'm also on Twitter as myself, at SpookAwesome. SPOOOKASEM. That's me. I know I have some of you. I see Orc in there, who's gonna be my Pathfinder sensei when I finally get going. I'm gonna bother them with a lot of questions. As for my goal this year, I want to try some new systems, because we play our made-up system. Yep.
Savage Worlds.
Savage World is a good one too.
I need to, like, so, you know what? If you have, like, a really crazy...
Buy these guys' games.
Yeah, I really want to play. I was just listening to you talk about Locust. I was like, I need to get me that. But we're trying to branch out and try new stuff that we didn't make up. So if you have some favorites that are very role-playing friendly, because we are all about that improv and improvisational collaborative storytelling. We love to be
Beautiful.
our little universe together. That's why we do this. We so if you have a recommendation that you think I would dig, please hit me up, because Twitter is how I entertain myself while I can't go out into the world. I'm trapped here on a real tiny island in the middle of the ocean, and I need something to do. That's how.
To be
So jealous.
fair,
So
we're
jealous.
nerds. Do we go outside anyway?
Hey, we don't, but like
To
just
LARP.
now that I'm not allowed.
To LARP. And go to cons.
Yes, I miss cons
To drink.
so much. Yes, and I would love to be able to get on a plane so that I could like go anywhere to buy like cheap clothes. You don't really shop.
I want to
here,
go play
honestly.
role-playing games in Iceland. That's my thing. I'm going to go to Iceland.
Listen, if
That just sounds
anybody wants
badass.
to come to Iceland, come on out, because I'll know you're here anyway. There's 10 of us.
Mhm.
Like,
I'll get on the boat, so just travel over.
Yeah, exactly.
so
All
if
10
you
of you
do
are going to be
come-
at the table.
If you do come and you don't visit me, I will find out. Like, I'll be very.
When I lived in the
by it.
Caribbean, we called that the coconut telegraph.
Exactly. Like, just swim or whatever you need to do. It's,
Rock fever is a
some of you
very
are close
real
enough.
thing.
Some of you are close enough. But yeah, that's the ultimate dream, right? To sit at a real table someday. It's incredible what
Right.
seems luxurious now. But yeah, that's me. Backwater Bastards. I'm a human bear. Come find out what that means. And this is like one of my top 10 favorite places to be ever. This is the only tavern that I frequent now, and it's the best one. Ask anybody.
It's true.
And this, once again, thank you, Luna. This was phenomenal. All of you people are incredible. You make cool stuff. You have cool brains. And if you are one of those people that think you want to play, or you want to try it, or you want to GM, or do anything, or make art, or make games, do it. The first 10 are gonna be weird. The first 3 are gonna suck. You're gonna feel bad. You're gonna feel dumb sometimes. You're gonna be embarrassed. Somebody's probably gonna be weird about it at one point. Keep going. It gets crazy.
Even with all of that, you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right. No.
That's
Even
right.
if you
Amen,
twist
brother.
it
Amen. I
into
love
another universe, you're still doing the thing. It's an experience.
Hell
You
yes.
can't do it wrong.
It's true.
Jump.
Hell yes.
That's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Taylor was a pinch hitter for me tonight, and I super appreciate it. She's always like, anytime you need somebody, let me know.
Yeah, I was like, I'm getting called up. Of course I'm coming.
Yeah.
Answer the call.
It's pretty much.
That's exactly it.
The fires
I
are
will
meant.
refuse Luna's call, but it is not this day.
Exactly. The horns of war have
Basically, yeah.
sounded. Answer the call.
Gondor calls for aid. Let's see. And so next
Taylor will answer.
right.
I even had my Lord of the Rings playlist on when you texted me, so just I'm saying
Oh, hey.
It was
Synergy.
like meant to be,
the
man.
theme, the Rohirrim theme was
The next
playing,
time, next time I need you for a pinch hitting situation, I'm just gonna be like, Gondor calls for aid.
and I'll just be like, I'm calling the Eagles.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh,
I'm ready
love
to play. Let's get some dice. I'm ready.
All right, and next we are going to head over to Bob.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bob. I publish as RP Davis on the DM. I am the chief cook and bottle washer for Kabouter Games, which you can find at kaboutergames.com or on DriveThruRPG. I make games. I write adventures. I make locations. Unlike virtually everyone else here, I do not stream. I'm going to buy a copy of this because it sounds completely awesome. And if you're into different games and you'd like to try something different that isn't 5th edition, please pick up a copy of Toxandria, which you'll find on our website on DriveThruRPG. It's a D100-based system.
Ooh.
So it's all custom tailorable for individual character skills because it's based on Chaosium's basic role-playing. So if you've played Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest or any Chaosium game, you know the system already. Pick it up, it'll be fun. We're also playtesting a rules-light OSR-ish game that the working title is Spears and Spells. And if anyone wants to get in playtesting for that, you can hit me up on Twitter at KabouterRPG. Or better yet, send an email to info@kaboutergames.com. I'll get you squared away with a playtest copy. All we ask is that you fill out the questionnaire at the end when you're done. If you even just want to read it, take a look. If you have any street cred in game design, especially, like all you guys here in this little roundtable, I would appreciate your thoughts on it. Shoot me an email and I'll get you a copy, and you'll get your name in the credits.
Ooh.
Hello.
And what did I say? Twitter, KabouterRPG, KabouterGames.com, DriveThruRPG. Yeah, that's about
Keys, wallet, phone.
Yeah.
Pin number. Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Testicles, wallet, and watch. No, I'm not a cat. Anyway.
Got him.
Gym Tan Laundry, whatever.
Yeah, that. As you can tell.
In Iceland, yeah. Well, I'm in Salt
getting-
Lake, so I'm not too far off from you.
Getting a lot of sun right now.
All right. Luke, let's go to you next.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can find me on at Eat, Crit and Survive as the Dungeon Master for Eat, Crit and Survive. We are a live streaming D&D 5th edition. We have a lot of chaos that happens, and if anyone wants to ask me about how sentient warrior penguins came into existence, you can follow me on @LukeMPickles. It's my own personal Twitter. You can ask me about that shenanigans that did occur. Guys, this was awesome. I've had a lot of fun having you guys here. If you guys ever want to come and play a game of D&D, hit me up. I will put a slot in. You guys can come join me on Eat, Crit, and Survive, and we can
Sweet.
We can have some chaos. I'm absolutely 100% happy to have you guys.
I love it.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Fit it. We can absolutely fit it in. I mean, especially Icelandic girl here. We can absolutely fit in. The time zones are actually.
We're the same. We're the same.
Exactly.
I'm on the same time zone as all of you UK people until you do the one thing. You put an extra hour at some point.
Yeah, we farm. We all get up to farm. That's
Yes.
what we do.
Yeah, we do that here too.
We can't really do that.
Yeah.
But we farm, I think, at a different time of year than you do. So
Yeah, slightly later, and then finish it slightly earlier.
Yeah.
For some reason.
yeah.
I've never understood why it's different, but yeah, absolutely. You guys come along, hit me up if you want to come and join in. And,
Yes.
When I get
Sounds
back, when I get
So-
back to civilization, I'm totally taking you up on that.
Oh, please do. We do it over Zoom, and we just sort of stick it in. We're more than happy to accommodate you guys. 7:15 to 7:30 ish start of GMT Friday nights. It's a lot of fun, and we upload it onto YouTube as well. And you can come talk about things and see what happens when the players hook up with Greek gods, because that has happened twice in the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
I mean,
Zeus and Apollo.
I mean,
well,
Zeus
not
is
bad
involved, so
I
that
mean-
doesn't surprise me.
I mean, they couldn't have picked worse ones, could they? There's 12 of them.
Oh, yeah. There's 12.
Well, Pantheon does. Who has the
There's
Pantheon
12.
does, I guess.
There's 12. There's 12 Olympians, and then there's
12 Olympians,
everyone.
plus all the others, and like Apollo and
Man.
Zeus are like the worst one.
They are terrible. But on the plus side, Apollo did do it after I challenged them to a flighting. So we had a real-time rap battle, which was amazing.
That's amazing.
okay. I
All right,
like
Tony,
that.
you got to follow that up.
Yeah, right. Hi, I'm Tony. Nice to meet you guys. That's about.
Hi, Tony.
Yeah. Compare. Yeah, like that's all I got. No, Jack, Luke, Bob, and Taylor. It was great to meet you guys.
Same here,
I would.
Yeah, pleasure.
I
You're
would
like a ray of
love-
sunshine.
He is.
I love
Oh.
you.
It's
well.
true.
Oh my gosh, that's too sweet. Thank you so much.
Son of a
Yeah, I
business
would.
card.
I
Better
would roll.
run. I'm a goddamn ray of sunshine. Look.
That's
Yeah.
right. Like,
That's
yeah,
the,
like
hey,
if I.
that's where we
yeah.
can put our F-bomb for this episode.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, yep, there
There
it
it
is. There's
is.
one F bomb. Yeah.
Didn't say
Yeah,
that.
Layer
um,
up the game.
I would totally I would roll dice with you guys anytime. So just hit me up. I'm on Twitter at Dice Barbarian on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Dice Barbarian RP, because some gambler dude has Dice Barbarian, I guess. So I couldn't just have that. But whatever. Internet. And I'm with Dice Tyrants every Saturday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 7:30 Central Time. I always why don't I write this shit down? God, I'm disorganized. Anyway, and Tony Brain, like welcome to Tony's Brain, folks. You'll never come out of it.
Relatable.
And
Relatable.
next Sunday, same time, 7:30 Central for the Ascended. You dropped the art, Luna, again. I owe you big time. Thank you so much for letting me do that. And the Terrace Savage Worlds podcast will be coming in March. We don't have the date locked down yet. The GM's still trying to figure out a couple of things for their setup. And I do other stuff with, I might do some stuff with Shared Experience as a guest star. I might do stuff. I do stuff with Indigo Chameleon. I do. So if you guys have charity streams or guest spots or need a slot filled, give me a holler, drop me a line, and I got all the cameras set up I need. So as long as I got a few hours of heads up, I can definitely help you guys out any way I can. So love you guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tony. This was great. This was awesome to have you back on. And I am Gamer Mom
Absolutely.
Luna. This has been this week's episode of Tales from the Tavern, and you can catch us live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Tales from the Tavern, our nerdy roundtable discussion where chat asks the questions. You can catch us on Wednesdays for 50 Shades of Crimson, which is our Pathfinder First Edition campaign, and weird stuff is going on in that one. Like, we had somebody die and come back to life, and they were sharing a soul, or their soul was in the body with another soul. It was very weird. So definitely come and check that one out. And starting on March 2nd, it's a Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, is Ripples in the Gray, which is our Star Wars Fantasy Flight Edge of the Empire campaign. And super awesome cast for that one. I'm really looking forward to it. And so we are going to have a great cast for that. And I was told today that I could share that it is set during the Clone Wars era. So, so there you go. Starting next week, you'll start on our Twitter. You'll start seeing in little like snippets of information about the characters getting dropped, so you can get a better sense of what we have for characters. They're all very cool, and I'm super excited for that one. So come in and check us out when that one gets started as well. We are going to. We're going to go raid somebody, I think. Let's see. I think we're going to go... Who should we go show some love
Raid!
to? Normally I try to have this figured out already, but it's been an interesting night. Let's see. I think we are going to go see if they are still live. I just want to check.
Oh, I just want to say hi to everybody at Shared Experience in the chat. I miss you guys. Love you guys.
No, okay, they're hosting somebody. I was like, I don't think they're live, but
Ooh, I got another prize in the thing. The secret teal box.
do the thing with the stuff. Do
The goblin, when you say goblin brain, my goblin brain can't take it.
Way in all things, just gamify it.
All
and
right.
they will come.
I know who we're gonna raid. We are going to raid a very good friend of the channel, somebody who does a lot of artwork for us. We are going to raid. Well, he just changed his username, so it's a different username now. So I have to like remember it. It's RF Chaos.
Yep, Chaos. He did the art for the Ascended. This is the guy,
Yeah.
Tyson.
He did the art.
He's
for
doing
the
our
Ascended.
layout. He did. Yes.
Yeah, he did all of the channel art for this stream. He did our logo. He did a bunch of the art he did all the character art for the Star Wars game. So say hi,
Good friend.
share the love, drop him a follow, all that good stuff. And,
Yeah.
we will catch you all next week.
Love you guys.
Don't hide your books.
Children's TV sent away.
Hell no, don't hide your books. Oh, I love that.
Oh man.
Never be in the company of anyone with whom you would not want to die.
All right,
wait.
we are
Yeah.
clear.
Go ahead.